Alright, in this video, we're going to talk about an understanding of UVs and really what UVW means. So we're going to make a simple object here to just actually kind of get a handle on what UVs are and what they're for. So this box, when I made it originally, actually has UVWs in place already. It's got generate mapping coordinates is turned on. Mapping coordinates are the UVWs that we're talking about. And everything I've ever read about UVWs, the reason it's called a UVW is because that's the three letters that come before XYZ. XYZ represents the three directions in three-dimensional space. So UVWs are ways to control images that are placed onto our objects in that UVW space. So in order to see this a little bit better, I'm going to go to my modifier list and apply a UVW map. The UVW map gives me a gizmo, the UVW map gizmo, that allows me to have a little bit better understanding of how that map is applied to my object. Now, right now, I can see this orange box around here with a little tip at the top. So that little line represents the top of an image that would come from something like Photoshop or the internet. So right now I'm going to go to my material browser, and I'm going to add a standard map and a bitmap. Now the bitmap, as soon as it comes up here, it's going to ask me where I want to grab that bitmap from. And we're just going to go to, let's see. Section 4, we're going to grab any one of these. So let's grab our butterfly wings. And I'm going to attach that to the diffuse color. Now once that's in the diffuse color there, I can select the main part of the material. I can see it's highlighted in white. Now I'm going to use my assign to selection. Now that material is on my object, but as I look here, I can't actually see it there. What I need to do is still actually tell it to show that map in the viewport. So once I tell it to show map in viewport, we can minimize this, and I'll see the material on my object. Now as I look around here, I'll see some streaking occurring down through the object. That's going to happen anywhere basically part of this material touches the edge of my object. So this as a planar map allows this image to be applied in a single plane, and it streaks all the way down through the object. If we look around at the bottom, we'll see that image is applied down there. So if I turn this to cylindrical mapping, I can see I've got a cylindrical gizmo here that applies my mapping around the outer side of the object. And again, anywhere that material touches the top, it's going to wrap over the top and streak through. Now, if I turn on cap, it'll also create a cap object for me. And for some things, cylindrical works really, really well. If I turn on spherical, I'll get a pole or a pinch at the top and the bottom of my material, and around the sides, it'll actually be projected pretty well. Spherical mapping is really great for projections like things of putting material around the earth or spherical objects. Materials have to be created in such a way as they actually have a pinch built into the material that works at the poles of the object. Shrink wrap is very much like spherical, except it only has a single seam on the object or on the material that you can kind of place where you want it. So it works pretty well if you're going to be able to hide that seam along the back of an object that you really never see in the render. Box mapping does this, where it basically, and we'll hit fit down here to kind of realign the material with the object itself, where each face of the object is getting a planar map applied to it. So each side gets that planar map applied to it directly, so it ends up aligning things very nicely. Works really well for objects like boxes. If I put on face map, and then we go back down to the box level here, and we'll increase the number of segments along our sides. And then I go back up to my UVW gizmo. I'll see, let's turn on edged faces, that each face, each different polygon here is getting its own UVW map applied to it. So it just basically causes the material to repeat across the object in a pretty controlled manner. Now, XYZ to UVW can basically cause some odd things to happen where really right now that material is being applied in a really, really, really tiny pattern. So it's all there, it's just really, really small. So generally speaking, we're going to get by with planar, cylindrical, spherical, and box. Those are the normal mapping types most of the time that you'll end up using, especially for relatively simple objects like this. Now, when we get into more complicated objects like our robot and our fairy, we're going to have to get into some more complicated methods of controlling how that material is applied to our object. All right, well, I hope that's a help to get you to understand the basics of UVWs and how they're applied to objects.